It's coming down to the home stretch for the championship in the Turkey Hill Truck Series Season number 8, and the championship is as tight as it can be with 3 races left to go in the season. We head out west, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the 16th event of the season. Only 3 races remain as we run here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the DraftKings High Roller 400K in the Turkey Hill Truck Series Season number 8. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are here for race 16 of 18 in the Season 8 of the Turkey Hill Truck Series. The DraftKings High Roller 400K, 42 laps of action around this mile-and-a-half racetrack in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is the last calm race before the big Talladega race next week. And the championship is down to 3 points. If you saw Martinsville last weekend, you know how it all went down. Sebastian Kukulon with an issue, went 2 laps down in that race, and lost the points lead to Laura Chung. However, Kukulon starts on the pole here tonight, and Laura Chung starts 35th for this race. So my question to you, Josh, is will Kukulon easily take the points lead after this event here today and have a good chance at holding on to the championship? Or will Laura Chung find her way through the field and have a shot at holding on to the points lead at the end of this race heading into Talladega?
I wouldn't count out Laura Chung slicing her way through the field. I don't know if she's going to get all the way back up to the front to necessarily get around Kukulon. I think when Kukulon gets out front, unless we see a couple of cautions here, they're going to have a hard time catching up to him, because we've seen him this season, particularly on these mile-and-a-half tracks. Remember Chicagoland? The only guy that was able to get within arm's reach of him was, well, the guy who ended up going on to win the race, Ryan Kinghart, after the pit stops happened. But if Kukulon gets out to a big jump, I don't know. It's going to be tough for Laura Chung to get through the. This is. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of the tougher mile-and-a-half tracks to pass on to begin with. So, Laura Chung starting in the 35th position, she's got her work cut out for her. She's going to have to really wheel that 61 up to the front if she wants to hold on to this points lead coming out of Las Vegas.
And we'll have to see what she can do. Obviously, a very dismal effort in qualifying yesterday that sent her all the way to 35th. I mean, I would imagine she's going to move her way through the field at least in some capacity, but with Kukulon starting on the pole position, as you said, Josh, he could just go right out there and lead every lap, similar to kind of almost what he did at Chicagoland. But at Chicagoland, he had pit road issues. He had pit road issues at Martinsville last week, actually more than pit road issues, and it's just been so many issues on Kukulon this season. If it weren't for all the issues he's had, he would probably have clinched the championship by now, but that's not the case. Chung's 3 points ahead in the championship, and then Kinghart also still within this championship. If things go crazy again, Kukulon and Chung fall back, Kinghart could end up even taking the points lead in this race mathematically. And then, of course, with Talladega next weekend, anything is possible. He's 33 points behind. Then you have Brad Stover, 69 points behind. Ethan Lewis, 73 points behind, still mathematically within the championship shot, but neither of those drivers have won a race yet this season. Eric Drew, our last winner, 77 points behind, starts in the 5th position today, looking for 2 in a row. We'll have to see what he can do here. Stapleton is 80 points behind, and then Aliera, 83 points behind. Pretty much everyone behind Yera is really out of contention. And I think we'll probably see guys like Stover, Lewis, Drew, all those guys from 4th to 8th possibly get knocked out, or at least relatively speaking, at the end of this one. But they're all chasing Sebastian Kukulon here today, who starts on the pole position. Alongside him, it's Owen Miles in the number 12 machine. Haven't seen too much of Miles this season, but looking to rebound a little bit here today. He comes into this race 11th in points, looking to get a top 10 points finish on the season. Brad Stover looking to get a top 4 points finish on the season. He's 4th in the points coming into this race. He's starting at the inside of Chris Reynolds. Our last winner, Eric Drew, won that wild race we had at the Martinsville Speedway. He's to the inside of Ryan Kinghart, who's trying to find his way in this championship battle there. 3rd in points currently. Right behind those guys, you see the number 9 of Joey Hightower and the 3 of Shane Lake. And then Nathan Stapleton and Agar Barretto round out the top 10 starting positions here for the DraftKings High Roller 400K. About a 30-lap fuel run here in this race. You see Laura Chung there starting in the 35th position on the inside lane. We'll have to see what she can do. Josh, who do you think is going to get the race victory here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway?
Well, the easy pick would be Sebastian Kukulon there starting on the pole position. However, maybe this is gutsy, but I'm going to look back about 3 rows on the inside there in the 7th position, starting Joey Hightower, the 9 truck, coming in 9th in the points. I'll bet he's got a good shot to get it done here in Sin City.
We'll have to see what he can do from the 7th starting position, but Kukulon will be hard to beat here today. We'll see what he does here at Las Vegas. Well, lap 1 and a bonus point towards the championship for Sebastian Kukulon right there. Brad Stover trying to take the 2nd position away from Owen Miles. I think he's going to get it right there. And Eric Drew looking to take 3rd. That inside lane definitely got a good start, but Kinghart found his way to that inside lane. He's looking to get inside the top 5 here.
And up front, Stover has caught the back of Kukulon as they head out of turn number 4 onto the front straightaway. The battle goes on for 3rd place there. There goes the 22 of Eric Drew. But here comes Stover down to the inside of Kukulon. Kukulon trying to hang tough on that outside. And it looks like he's got the grip up there for the time being. Stover's going to fall back into the 2nd position. Kukulon strong on the outside. But here comes Eric Drew, the 22, up to the backside of the 45, bringing Kinghart with him.
Yeah, and these top 4 drivers are all top 6 in points coming into this race. The only one of these 4 guys who has yet to win a race this season is Brad Stover there in the 45. He's going to have a shot to the inside again on Kukulon, but it's hard to make that pass in the turn number 1. Kinghart's going to try it, though, on Eric Drew, and I think he's going to be able to do it there, moving up to the 3rd position. Owen Miles started on the outside pole. He fell back to the 5th position, and 3 wide. Alliera to the inside of Joey Hightower, Nathan Stapleton. Hightower kind of in the middle, and that's kind of the preferred line right there. This is a very fast 1.5-mile racetrack. There's a lot of grip on this racetrack, and these guys, they kind of basically minimize a 180 through the corners around this place, so they're really pushing it out here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and because of that, kind of hard to really pull away from these guys, but also hard to make a pass like you were saying earlier on. One of the harder 1.5 to make a pass on, but some guys are making it work. And Kinghart is one of those guys. He's up to the 3rd position behind the back bumper of Brad Stover. You have Owen Miles to the inside of Eric Drew there. That is for the 4th position. And Hightower, your pick to win this race, there in 7th.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't fall back immediately. He's hanging tough there inside the top 10. Looking to move into the top 5 as he gets down to the inside of Eric Drew. Slipped on the outside of the 12 of Owen Miles. Into turn number 3, he's got Thomas Troxel behind him. Ali Era on the outside behind Eric Drew. But it looks like Hightower's going to move into the top 5. The inside starting to come into... starting to get a rhythm going on the inside, at least through turn 3 and 4. Turn 1 and 2 left some things to be desired for some guys, but the outside's pretty even right now. Looks like they're getting a lot of rubber laid down over in turn 1 and 2. Liera's trying to get a run on the outside. There's Troxel as they head off into turn number 3. It's like Troxel's going to slip ahead.
A lot of those guys going to get in that inside lane to work, but the top 3 have pulled away from the rest of the field. They have about a second on the field right now, and Brad Stover is looking to get this race lead from Sebastian Kukulon. Stover, if he can stay alongside down the backstretch, I think he's going to have a good shot right here at possibly taking the race lead away. Ryan Kinghart right behind these guys, and I know Kinghart wants to get around Kukulon. He wants to get more points than that 75, but Kukulon found the grip there on that outside lane, and he remains out front here at Las Vegas. See where Laura Chung is here in the 61 machine. She's trying to hold on to this points lead, and she's moving up fairly well. Getting around Derek Hamlin right there for 23rd, so that's 12 positions in 9 laps. That's more than a position a lap right there for Laura Chung, so at this rate, she'll get to the race lead. But obviously it gets harder to make those passes the further up through the field you go, so we'll have to see where Laura Chung ends up as this cycle goes around. Of course, like I said, about a 30-lap fuel run. Lap 31, lap 32, I think is when we'll probably see some of these guys come down the pit lane. Looks like Eric Drew trying to clear these guys. All these guys still battling, though, for that 5th position. Here comes Noah Clifton in the 24 looking to take it away in the number 24 machine, which I have to mention this. I really do. That 24 in real life is going to be driven by Raja Karuth, who was the first ever champion on this channel. I know I keep on having to say it, but it's still very awesome to see him move up, especially considering that he was just part of this community, and now look at where he is. It's awesome to see that. I wish the very best for Raja and that whole GMS team, because Grant Enfinger's on that team as well. So huge congratulations to Raja Guru for making the jump the trucks next year and driving for GMS Racing alongside Grant Enfinger. You couldn't ask for anything better. You just couldn't. And, you could ask for better with our broadcasting here. You saw that in the corner of your screen. Brad Stover now out front here at Las Vegas, and Ryan Kingert also got the advantage there as well. And Kukulon now down to the 3rd position. And that 4th position is Owen Miles, and he's pulling away from the rest of the field right there. So now Stover in position to possibly win this race here at Las Vegas. And he's looking really fast here today in this DraftKings High Roller 400K.
Certainly, that 45 looking very strong here, coming around for lap number 13. 13's an unlucky number. We'll have to see how it goes for Stover as Kinghart tries to draw back into that 45. Headed off into turn number 1. He widens the gap back to Kukulon, who sits in the 3rd position now. In position to take the point lead if everything goes right. Obviously, Laura Chung still trying to march her way up through the field. A little further back, well, not a little further back, quite a ways back actually, started 35th position, but working up into the top 25, as we saw a little earlier on. Laura Chung was battling with Derek Hamill, and we'll check in with her right now, closing up, well, still with Derek Hamill, back in the, is it still 24th. In the mid-20s?
Yeah, 24th position there.
All right, so still inside the top 25, now getting to the inside of Reggie Fogelman, the 23. Might have a chance. I think this is going to be another one of those situations. If Laura Chung wants to get up to the front, you've got to do it on pit road. You got to hope Kukulon has a mistake because the field is so spread out at this point of the race.
Absolutely. And, odds are almost more in the favor of Kukulon having a mistake in this race, the way things have gone this season. Of course, I know Kukulon doesn't want that to happen. But if I'm not mistaken, Kukulon hasn't won since Gateway, which was 3 races ago. Chung hasn't won since IRP almost over a month ago. So it's been a while since either driver has actually gone the victory lane. We had Kinghart win at Chicagoland, Eric Drew win last weekend in Martinsville. It wasn't that long ago when Kukulon got his race victory at Gateway, but still, it feels like a long time ago considering the last 2 races for him. And now the fact that he's not the points leader as well. But he still has that bonus point for leading a lap. That's something he did not get at Martinsville, but that's something that Ryan Kinghart also wants to match right here because Kinghart still has that opportunity. He's 33 behind. He's right now going to stay 30 points behind Kukulon, but gain a lot closer to Laura Chung. So it could get interesting, especially if these guys are all within a race of points heading into Talladega. Anything can happen there, and it's a very good possibility that we could see these guys finish mid-pack, and it really mix things up heading into the finale at Homestead. Kinghart is going for the race lead here on Brad Stover. He's right there on the back bumper of the 45, and all 3 of these guys, they're pretty much right on each other. They have 3 seconds on the field right now, but none of these 3 guys seem to have an advantage over the other right now. It's a lot like Chicagoland a couple weeks ago, when Kukulon and Kinghart just dominated the field, but they stayed right on each other. It's going to come down to the pit lane if it stays this way. And we'll have to see if it in fact stays this way. But all these guys, right in a line, 3.5 seconds on the field.
So we're pulled ahead of Kinghart just a little bit, and Kinghart pulled quite a ways ahead of Kukulon coming out of turn number 4. Headed off into 1. I wonder if Kinghart's going to have big enough gap. He'll make the move on Stover. No, absolutely not. He stays in line behind the 45, trying to close in, get some draft. Down the back straightaway, and here we go. I think
oh, wow, that's an issue right there, and the caution's going to come out. Juan Rodriguez stopped on the racetrack, and that could have been way, way, way worse than it ended up being. Thankfully, all 3 of our race leaders avoided it. But definitely some heart-stopping action right there.
Ooh.
It was like a little early for them to come down the pit lane. They were snaking down to the inside on the backstretch. That was not at all what is normally occurring here on this racetrack. Juan Rodriguez, though, with an issue. He's a lap down. perfect opportunity for the field to come down the pit lane right at halfway, basically, here in this DraftKings High Roller 400K. They're going to come down the pit lane here, service the trucks, I should say, and then they'll be back out there and doing battle to the end of the race. So this is it right here. This is actually good news for Kukulon because it's less of an opportunity for him to mess this up, and even if he does, he has a bit of a restart and some time to make up for it. It's not right at the end of the race like it was at Chicagoland. Brad Stover going to be the first driver down the pit lane. Ryan Kinghart just ahead of him there on the pit lane. That's interesting. And then Kukulon, you're going to see he's got the first pit stall, but we're going to focus with these two guys right here. Ryan Kinghart and Brad Stover going to be a 4-tire stop for all these guys, even though this track does have a lot of grip. Definitely want to get those tires when you can. Kinghart, oh, he's still on the pit lane. An issue on the 98. A little bit slow off the jack right there, trying to get it full of fuel, but nothing too drastic for him. Brad Stover came down the race leader. Sebastian Kukulon's got the first pit stall here. Will he get an advantage? You barely will. Over Ethan Lewis, I should say. Kinghart is going to fall back quite a bit right there, but Kukulon got through his pit stop, and he's running in the second position. But Brad Stover was in first. He's out first. Ethan Lewis, Nathan Stapleton, Noah Clift in the top 5. Kinghart down to 6th. So not exactly, or now he's actually down to 7th. Number 98 machine, Eric Drew in the 6th position. So Kinghart losing 5 positions on pit lane. Kind of like Martinsville. And you started on pole, still finished 6th, but it was still a disappointment. Well, it looks like similar situation here for Kinghart on this cycle of pit stops. Well, we'll quickly see what happened to Juan Rodriguez. I don't think this was a contact-induced caution. The 44 had an issue and stopped on the racetrack, triggering the yellow flag. But we'll double-check and see that was, in fact, the case. And we'll get to the restart here. The Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the Turkey Hill Truck Series, season number 8. So we're just going to replay this once, but you see Juan Rodriguez there in the 44 right in front of you, Josh. This is a clutch issue, and this went very long, and Williamson there really getting the short end of the stick with this one. Not caught up in any contact, but just couldn't get around the 44 safely. Finally got around him after everyone had passed him. And then the 44, nowhere to go, stops on the racetrack. Caution comes out. Obviously, we race back to the line, and then Brad Stover, Ryan Kinghart, Sebastian Kukulon, we saw it happen here. They came pretty close to running into that 44 machine right here. They saw him coming, and they all went to the inside, and he had not teleported to the pit lane before they got to him there. So, thankfully, teleported right after, and none of the rest of the field got to him before that happened, but yeah, that could have been bad. That could have been really bad. But thankfully, all these guys still in the race. Brad Stover won the race off the pit lane with Kukulon right behind him. A good pit stop for the 75. We'll have to see if that awards him a race victory here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let's get back to racing in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. We're back here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway after Juan Rodriguez had a clutch go bad. Stopped on the middle of the racetrack and almost took out our leaders, but thankfully we still have 35 drivers on the lead lap. And they are led by Brad Stover in the number 45, looking to get his first win of the season. An interesting thing to note, he's only 69 points behind Laura Chung coming into this race. With that being said, he's 66 behind Kukulon, who's right behind him right now, but he's still in championship contention, and a win here today will definitely help him out there. Kukulon is second, Ethan Lewis up to third, Nathan Stapleton and Noah Clift in the top 5, and then Ryan Kinghart is actually 6th off the pit lane there in the number 98 machine. Laura Chung in the 61 up to the 18th position, a good pit stop for that team. We'll have to see where she ends up falling in favor at the end of this race, but we're good to go to the end, and it's going to be an all-out race to the end with 19 laps to go here in the DraftKings High Roller 400K.
Firing off into turn 1 and 2 like a squadron of fighter jets, they go down the back straightaway. Brad Stover leads the way side by side behind Eric Drew. Inside of the 40 of Nathan Stapleton. That is for 5th place on the racetrack. Kinghart slips back on the outside. The 12 of Owen Miles there in the mix, as is the 15 of Chris Tejada. And the Threesome on the inside will get ahead of Stapleton and Kinghart on the outside. Troxel's going to make it a 4-truck train, now 5-6, as Shane Lake and the 91 of Igor Barreto will get up into the mix. Barreto will abandon Shane Lake up on the outside and go down to the inside through turn 3 and 4.
So a good run there for all those guys on the inside, and Kinghart falling back even more after that poor pit stop. Meanwhile, back up front, Sebastian Kukulon trying to find his way around this 45 of Brad Stover, trying to get his 5th win of the year here in 16 races. Been a very solid season for Kukulon. He's been doing very well in the mile and a halves as well, especially in the mile and a half races this season. Won Charlotte, that was his first win of the season, and won the week after that at Rockingham. And since then, he's also gotten the win at Gateway. And then the other win that he received was an all-out 15-lap lead race at Pocono. So he's also kind of won all over the place, kind of like Laura Chung has. But I find that he's been a little bit more solid on these mile-and-a-half racetracks. And with Homestead being the finale, with this race right now, him running second, Kukulon might have the advantage. But speaking of Laura Chung, she is moving up to the field. And she is now in a battle with Igor Barreto for the 13th position. So she is finding some speed here late in the going, and she is far from being out of contention for this race victory. But Brad Stover, he's going to try to make it such that the rest of the field cannot catch up to him. And he's starting to pull away just slightly there from Sebastian Kukulon. Ethan Lewis holding on to 3rd, Noah Clifton in 4th, and Eric Drew rounds out the top 5.
And it looks like the 24 tried to make a move on the 4. The 24 of Noah Clifton tried to get to the inside of Ethan Lewis. Wasn't able to in the tri-oval. They foul off single file through turn 1 and 2. They catch up to the 75 of Kukulon. Lewis is going to make a move to the inside, headed off into turn number 3. We've seen Kukulon fly around that outside, and he's going to do the same to Ethan Lewis. And maybe that could be the launch he needs to catch back up to the 45, because, you know, even with as far back as Laura Chung is, even if she's moving her way through the field, Kukulon wants every bonus point he can, because even after today, we still got 2 races left before we crown a champion, so he wants to have a pretty significant point gap before we even get to Homestead, just to make things that much easier for him.
Talladega is going to be a tough one. He wants as big of a point gap heading into that race as possible. He's going to try to take the race lead here. Good run off the exit of turn 4 for Kukulon. Will he try to peek to the inside? He will not do so for the time being. Stover remains out front. Ethan Lewis still in 3rd. Clifton and Drew still in their respective positions. And, you know, this is just as you were saying, this is a difficult place to make a pass with how much grip there is on this racetrack. A little bit harder for these guys to slip up through the corners, and we're seeing that right now. All 5 of those guys in a line. Chris Tejada is 6th. Great run for him. 1 mile. 7th. Kinghart there in 8th. And looky here. Laura Chung is now inside the top 10. With 11 laps left to go in this race, she is in the 9th position with Stapleton rounding out the top 10. She's definitely a quick driver at the moment, but she does not have a top 10 fastest lap. Fastest lap actually goes to Eric Drew in this one, so even though she's moving through the field very well right now, she's still far from being the fastest driver out there. But Brad Stover is quick, holding these drivers off, and he's in the best position possible right now with 10 laps to go. Kukulon right there in 2nd. Ethan Lewis, Clifton trying to close in and have a shot at their first wins of the season. And Lewis, he's got a nose here to the inside of Kukulon. We'll have to see if he can make it work. Oh, but Clifton's going to help that 75 in the outside lane, and Clifton might get it to work on the outside lane ahead of Ethan Lewis.
Well, not that Kukulon needed much help on the outside to begin with. I mean, we've seen him shoot up on the outside and hold guys off and get around guys all day long. So he's very clearly got a very fast truck. Clifton slips on the outside as Eric Drew, the fastest truck on the racetrack, I believe is still the case, down to the inside looking for that 4th position. Clifton trying to work the outside, not as successfully as Sebastian Kukulon, but in the tri-oval, well, Drew might have the draft going if he wants to get around that 24. Kinghart's trying to bulldoze the 12 of Miles out of the way. He's got Laura Chung right behind him. No, Laura Chung has a fast truck. She's trying to get up through the field as quickly as possible, as much positions as possible, because She only comes in 3 points ahead of Kukulon. Kukulon's up there in second. That's a 7-position difference. And so I believe Kukulon has led laps today, too.
Yeah,
so
it'd be 5 points because he's got one bonus point. I think Stover's going to get that extra bonus point the way things are looking right now. So it would be a 5-point gap for Kukulon ahead of Laura Chung heading into Talladega. So Laura Chung is still well within this. She did her job today. She didn't do a good job in qualifying, but I got to give her a lot of credit. She made the best of it and looking to get a top 10 run. Kingart, just like Martinsville, you know, a good run, but not good enough at this point in the season. He's going to lose some ground to the points leader. Still within championship contention, but it's going to take a miracle at Talladega, which, you know, it's very possible there, in order for him to have a shot at this championship. So it might very well now be between Kukulon and Chung the way things currently run. Brad Stover, though, you can't count him out either, especially if those three guys have issues in Talladega and Stover finds a way to win next week as well. He could have a shot at Homestead, and he is doing an excellent job winning at his first win of the season. It'll be 2 races in a row for first-time winners. We've seen a lot of dominance out of Chung, Kukulon, and Kingart. Well, now we're seeing a lot of new winners all of a sudden here late in the season. But it's not over yet. And Stover, about a 0.3 of a second lead ahead of Kukulon. We'll have to see if he can hold him off. Eric Drew trying to get around Clifton here. That is for the 5th position. Actually, Clifton trying to get back around Eric Drew.
Drew's got that outside line working that was working for Clifton earlier until they got into turn number 1, and now Clifton fires ahead of Drew. Drew working the outside, though, as they head down the Nellis Straight, the 1,500-foot back straightaway into turn number 3. It'll be Drew ahead of the 24 of Clifton. Up ahead, Kukulon trying to close in. He lost a little bit of time to Stover that time through, but 3 laps to go. The DraftKings High Roller 400K at Las Vegas. 22 100ths the difference between Brad Stover and Sebastian Kukulon. Who will win today at Las Vegas as Kukulon closes in? He might have a shot at him still.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see if he can get it. That 75 machine with a really good run, and Kukulon is right there. He wants this win. He wants this championship. And with all the hardships he's had on pit lane, he wants to get another one right here, and he's got the opportunity with 2 laps to go. But Stover just in that position. We're just at that point of the race where it's just that difficult to make a pass, and Stover's been dominant all day once he got that race lead. But Kukulon is not going to let him have it easy. If he get a good run off of turn 4 right here, he's going to have a shot. Oh, but he's trying. Not really much of an advantage for either driver right there. They stay about the same distance apart. White flag here in Las Vegas in the Turkey Hill Truck Series for Brad Stover. Sebastian Kukulon right there looking to take this one away, get his 5th win of the season. Stover going for his first, and a good run there for Stover through turn 2. That right there might be it for the 45.
You only have to lead the last lap, but he's going to do even better than that. Here comes Stover out of turn number 4.
Brad Stover, first win of the season, gets it done in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. Kukulon there in second. Ethan Lewis, Noah Clifton edges out. Eric Drew, Kingart in 7th, and Laura Chung in 9th. So Laura Chung is going to be 5 points behind Sebastian Kukulon at the end of this race. Yes. Trying to think if I'm doing the math correctly. Yes, 5 points behind. And then Kingart is also going to lose some ground. He was 30 behind Kukulon coming into this race. And Kukulon is going to have 6 points, 36 behind for Ryan Kingart. So he's going to have to finish ahead of Kukulon and Laura Chung if he's going to have any mathematical chance at Homestead. But Brad Stover gets it done here at Las Vegas. How about that one right there? And we missed the pass for the race lead, of course, but, you know, that's how it is. It isn't an AG race, an app fan, whatever you want to call it. Isn't a race on my channel without that happening. Brad Stover gets it done. First win of the season for Stover. I know he's double digits on the channel. I think that's either 11th or 12th for him on the channel, so good job out of Stover. Take a look at the rest of the results right there. A few guys with issues there in the back of the field. Shane Lake, Josh Williamson, I'm sorry, man, and Caleb Rose there, all a lap down. Caleb Rose, after that great run he had at Martinsville last week, Kind of the opposite today for him. But you got to give a lot of props to Laura Chung. She's only going to be 5 points behind heading into Talladega instead of 25 points behind, as it could have easily been if she did not work her way through the field after that poor qualifying effort. But Kukulon's just that hard to beat. And, if Kukulon has any advantage in the points heading into Homestead, I think it's going to be hard for anyone to get him in that Wawa 250. But how do you think this championship's going to go? Talladega is next weekend. It's a big wild card, and then the finale on Christmas Day, the Wawa 250 at Homestead. Who do you think is going to get this championship done here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series?
Well, as close as it is right now, particularly with the top two, it's anybody's guess at this point. I mean, easily at Talladega next week, it's a total crapshoot. So anything can happen next week. And then Homestead, like you mentioned, Kukulon's been a blazer on the 1.5 mile treks this season, but I cannot help but remember when Laura Chung won at Atlanta. Obviously, that is a different 1.5 mile to Homestead. And Homestead's not really like any other 1.5 mile track. It's such a unique configuration to the other 1.5 mile tracks we've had here on this schedule. So, my heart says Kukulon is going to be the man to beat. But I don't know. Something happens at Talladega. If Kukulon runs into trouble, Laura Chung ends up finishing towards the front. Kinghart ends up finishing towards the front. Heck, Stover, with this win today, he's fourth in the championship. He could work his way back up into championship contention. He might be a long shot, but he could get up there and have a shot at Homestead. Mm-hmm. So my heart says Kukulon, but that could easily change here over the next couple of weeks.
And we'll just have to see how it all goes down. Next weekend, it is the Cookout 250 at Talladega. Next Saturday at noon Eastern Time. You can't miss that one. And then Christmas Day, December 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Going up against the NFL and the NBA, but who cares? It's kind of a tradition to do the finale of this series on Christmas Day, and we're going to do it again this year. The Homestead Miami Speedway, the Wawa 250. 2 races left to go, and we'll crown a champion. Talladega next week, we're going to use the old unrestricted Talladega we've always used. So I don't know how much the ratings are going to come into play there when they're passing 4 times a lap, but that's what makes it fun. It's the one race we do now that's like that, and going to be a massive wild card, and anybody can get the win there. It should be a great one for the penultimate race of the season. But hey, congratulations to Brad Stover for getting it done here at Las Vegas. We will see you guys next weekend at Talladega. Here are the points for the Turkey Hill Truck Series heading into that Talladega race with 2 races left to go. And a huge thanks to Josh Williamson for joining me here today in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I will see you guys later.